Quickie assemble! When our founders wrote the 8th Amendment, they prohibited the requirement of excessive bail, using language straight from the English Bill of Rights of 1689. At the time, this was understood to mean not only a ridiculous amount of bail, but indeed any bail when it wasn't necessary. The whole point of bail is simply to make sure the defendant shows up for trial. Our founders were pretty clear in their writings about the right to freedom before conviction. It was only when someone was facing serious enough penalties and you had a good reason to believe they wouldn't show up that bail would be required. So excessive bail is anything more than is needed to ensure that that particular defendant will show up for trial. And for about 200 years, this meant that most defendants were released on their own recognizance. And through the 1950s, the Supreme Court equated the right to bail with the right to freedom before conviction. And then came the 1984 Bail Reform Act. This changed things to make bail the default, not recognizance, and also added precrime, the idea that you have to stop someone from committing other crimes while waiting to be adjudicated on this one. And it made it so bail was more punitive, basing it on the severity of the crime itself and not merely ensuring the defendant will appear. The result is that at any given moment, something like 500,000 people in America sit in jail awaiting trial, most of whom could just be released pending trial. And it's way skewed against the poor and minorities. It's not just the money, even a few days in jail can seriously affect employment, housing, and even child custody. And if you're worried about public safety, note that pre-trial detention increases someone's likelihood of rearrest after release. Remember, innocent until proven guilty. These people haven't been convicted, therefore they're legally innocent, but detained anyway. The lead co-sponsor, by the way, was Joe Biden. Bail just isn't warranted in most cases. Most people are not going to choose to go on the lam and live the life of a fugitive, constantly running from the law and looking over their shoulder. They're going to show up for court, which is the only thing bail was ever supposed to be about. And there are also other options nowadays, such as electronic monitoring and regular check-ins. Going back to that is better for everyone involved. An arrestee can maintain their lives, not have it fall apart while they're awaiting their due process, and it limits the number of people taxpayers have to keep housed in jail. Better for everyone, that is, except for the ego of people like Joe Biden.